afternoon, depending where you are joining me from. Thank you so much for being here today for this truly exciting launch party that we are having today. My name is Mucha Mlingo and I will be your host. And I truly am delighted that you've taken the time to join me today. Wherever you're joining from, whether you're in your office, at home, between meetings, or perhaps quietly hoping no one schedules anything else in the next hour, I'm really glad you have chosen to spend this time with us. As I mentioned, my name is Mucha Mlingo. I'm the managing director of PTS Africa, the emotional intelligence company. And today is a very special day for us. After months of writing, refining, testing, reflecting, and praying over this journey, today we officially launch the Mental Health Reset Workbook, a labor of love from all of us over to you. But I'd like to start with a confession. This isn't actually the launch I'm most interested in. Yes, today we're launching a workbook, but what I really hope begins today is permission. Permission for people to stop wearing exhaustion like a badge of honor. Permission to admit that a full calendar isn't always a meaningful life. Permission to believe that protecting your mind isn't selfish, it's responsible. Because somewhere along the way, many of us became incredibly good at managing our responsibilities whilst becoming increasingly disconnected from ourselves. We remember everyone else's deadlines. We solve everyone else's problems. We keep showing up. We keep grinding. We keep producing. We keep delivering. And yet internally, something feels permanently full. Not because we're incapable, not because we're weak, but because we've been carrying far more than our minds were ever designed to carry. Today isn't about fixing that in 60 minutes. It's about interrupting it. Before we go any further, I'd like you to imagine something. Imagine that every thought you've had during the last 7 days became a physical object. Let me say that again. Imagine that every thought you've had over the last 7 days became a physical object. Think about that for a moment. Yeah, take a moment to think about it, to process that thought. Have you considered what that possibly looks like? Every unfinished task, every conversation you're avoiding, every decision you're postponing, every worry, every expectation, every don't forget this and don't forget that, every what if. Imagine they were all placed into a backpack and someone asked you to wear it. How heavy would that be? Here's the interesting thing. Most of us are actually carrying that backpack. The only difference is it's invisible. One of the greatest myths about mental health is that it only matters when we are in crisis. But most people don't wake up one morning burnt out. Most people don't suddenly become overwhelmed. It happens quietly, thought by thought, commitment by commitment, notification by notification, open loop by open loop, until eventually the mind never quite feels empty anymore. And here's the thing, when the mind never rests, clarity becomes harder, presence becomes harder, decision making becomes harder, and joy becomes harder. The Mental Health Reset Workbook was born from one simple belief. Mental health isn't only about surviving life's biggest storms. It is also about learning how to navigate ordinary Tuesdays with a clearer mind. Because ordinary Tuesdays eventually become our lives. So here's what I'd like you to know before we continue. This is not going to be a webinar where you sit back and take notes. It's not a webinar full of statistics, and it's certainly not 60 minutes of me talking to you. Today, you'll write, you'll reflect, and hopefully you'll notice things you may not have noticed before. And by the end of this hour, my hope is not simply that you've learned something. My hope is that your mind feels different from when you logged in. If you leave with fewer thoughts competing for your attention than you did 60 minutes ago, today would have been worthwhile. Here's where we're going together. Over the next hour, we're going to do 4 simple things. First, we're going to notice what we've been carrying in that invisible backpack. Second, we're going to separate what deserves our attention from what has simply been occupying it. Third, we're going to identify one area of our lives that needs protecting over the next 30 days. And lastly, I'll introduce you to the Mental Health Reset Workbook and show you how this first experience grows into a practical 12-month journey of building mental fitness 1 month at a time. So, before we begin, I'd like you to take a slow breath. Take a slow breath. Not because breathing solves everything, but because it reminds us that for the next 60 minutes, you don't need to solve everything. You can just be here. You can simply let go. Shall we begin? I'd like to start with a check-in. So let me get my slide up because I'd like you to reflect on where you are as you have joined today. So here we go. If your mind had a weather forecast today, what would it be? If your mind had a weather forecast today, what would it be? All right, so that's the question I'd like you to reflect on. If your mind had a weather forecast today, what would it be? I'd like you to, wherever you are joining from, go to the comments and share. So we're starting with this simple check-in. One of the things I've learned over the years is that most of us are very good at checking our phones, our emails, our calendars, our deadlines, but we rarely check in with ourselves. So I invite you to do so right now. Don't analyze, don't justify, don't compare yourself with anyone else. Simply answer this question. If your mind had a weather forecast, what would it be? And don't feel limited to what you can see on the screen. If you have something else that you feel is appropriate to you, you're welcome to share that too. Maybe it's bright and clear. Maybe it's a little cloudy. Maybe it's a storm that you've been carrying for a while. Or maybe it feels like it's all of the above happening all at the same time. Just type in what it is for you. Thank you, Stuart. It's great to have you here. I see you. Cloudy with silver lining. I like that. Asanga says number 3, which is cloudy. Wildest Dream, great to have you here. As always, one of our regular attendees of our events, Cloudy. And Palesa says 5 overloaded. So there's a bit of lightning that's going on there. Welcome to you all, Asanga and Palesa. Thank you very much for joining. I love this exercise because it reminds us of something important. Weather changes. Some days are bright, some days are difficult, some seasons last longer than we like. But here's the thing, no weather pattern stays forever. All right, Tessie, I see you. Cloudy, thank you for joining. Charles, good to have you here again. Dark cloud, less sunlight. I'm going to give 30 more seconds for anyone else who wants to share how things are showing up for you. Like I said, no judgment. No judgment at all. Just share how you are showing up today. All right, I see a few more coming through. Keep them coming, keep them coming. All right. It may seem like a really simple exercise, but checking in is a really powerful way to stay connected with how we are feeling. And it's something that we do not do often enough. So thank you. Thank you for taking the time with me to check in. The purpose of today's session isn't to force sunshine. It's to help you create a little more space, a little more clarity, and perhaps leave with a forecast that feels a little bit lighter than when you arrived. So, I want you to consider a very interesting question. If our minds can become so full, what exactly are they full of? What exactly are they full of? Well, let's explore that a little further. Technology can really make you sweat when you're doing a live presentation. About 5 minutes before we were starting, I couldn't log in. And I was telling the team that technology was doing her thing and causing me to sweat. As you reflect on your weather forecast, I guess mine was thundery at that moment, but I'm grateful that it's sunshine now because I was able to log in. As you look at your weather forecast, however forecasted, some of you maybe thought, I'm just tired, or I've got a lot going on. I think Palesa talked about having a lot on her plate. And I wonder if we've normalized that feeling of having so much on our plate that we no longer question it. We've become incredibly good at carrying things, not just physically, but mentally. Think about what today looked like before you joined this webinar. Perhaps you replied to a few emails, thought about a conversation that you need to have, wondered whether your child remembered something they needed for school, prepared for another meeting, remembered someone you need to call, started thinking about tomorrow. Here's the thing, none of those things are particularly heavy on their own. But together, they become the weight. And the challenge is this, our minds don't distinguish very well between what is urgent and what is simply unfinished. So they keep reminding us again and again and again. It's almost as though the mind has dozens of little sticky notes floating around saying, hey, I'm here. Don't forget me. Don't forget me too. Don't forget me too. Eventually, the issue isn't the individual thoughts, it's the sheer number of thoughts competing for your attention. And that is what I mean by mental load. Mental load isn't about how much you have to do, it's about how much your mind is trying to hold at the same time. That's why two people can have exactly the same workload, yet experience it completely differently. One person's mind has space, the other person's mind is crowded. And here's something that I really want you to remember throughout today's session. The goal isn't to empty your mind. The goal isn't to have an empty mind. That's not necessary. Neither is it realistic. The goal is to create space. The goal is to stop asking your mind to be your storage system, because your mind is an incredible place for creating ideas, but it is a terrible space for storing everything. And so today we're going to begin creating some space. Before we can create space, we first have to see what is occupying the mind. So I'd like to invite you to our first reflection exercise. And so for this one, I am going to stop sharing my screen as we have a conversation. I want to invite you to take a piece of paper so that you can, continue with this reflection. I want you to do a brain dump. I want you in this moment to just write down everything that is competing for your attention. I'm going to give you 3 minutes. No ordering, no filtering, no solving. Just write everything that comes to your mind and write it down. This is nothing complicated. It's nothing clever. It's just honest. For the next 3 minutes, like I said, write down everything competing for your attention. And not just your work, everything. The email you haven't replied to, the conversation you keep replaying, the appointment at the doctor you need to make, the family member you're worried about, the decision you're avoiding, the bill you need to pay, the idea you don't want to forget, the holiday you still need to plan, the health issue with your parents that's sitting quietly in the background, the presentation you're preparing, the cupboard that needs fixing, the birthday you need to remember, the thing you've been telling yourself you'll deal with next week. If it's taking space in your mind, it belongs on the paper. Don't organize it. Don't prioritize it. Don't decide whether it's important. Don't judge yourself. Simply move it from your mind onto the page. You'll have 3 minutes, and I'm going to be quiet while you write. You have 1 more minute. All right, time is up. Thank you very much for participating. Go to the comments, whether you're on YouTube or LinkedIn, and just tell me what that experience was like. Just type in the comments, what was that experience like as you were emptying your mind? I see those who joined us after I continued. June, thank you very much for sharing. Stormy and overloaded. June says, Maureen says, cloudy. Peter said, cloudy with the chance of a storm later. Thank you very much for sharing how you are checking in. So let's go back again. Remember, I said that we're having a conversation today. We're having a conversation with each other. So go to the comments and I'd like you to just tell me what it was like. So don't worry about what the content is. We're just curious about what it felt like to do that exercise. I would love to hear from you. Let's have a look and see. Still waiting for someone to say what that experience was like. Go to the comments, whether you're here on LinkedIn or you are here on YouTube, and let me know what was it like doing that exercise. All right, I want to make sure, yes, I want to make sure that I'm audible still. Okay. I see some comments. Fantastic. All right, so I can see that we are still together. As Stuart says, I need a clone or a body double. Yeah, you're looking at the sheer magnitude of the stuff. Palesa says quite enlightening. All right, fantastic. Thank you very much, Stuart and Palesa. I'll give you a couple more minutes. Someone else tell me, what did that feel like? So we're not judging it yet. We're not, trying to figure out how we're going to achieve it all. We're just reflecting on what the experience was like to take all those thoughts and put them on a piece of paper. All right. So Charles says, wow, as I was doing the exercise, I felt smooth. It's like so much was coming out like water. All right. Thank you, Charles. Susan says, like unpacking a duffel bag, the shock of how much was in there, then the relief of the weight lightening progressively. Isn't it amazing how actually writing it down is a way of kind of taking it out of your mind and giving yourself some relief? June says it felt like an exhale of some sorts. Exactly. Thank you. Thank you very much for sharing. So here's what we are going to do next, because the exercise wasn't just for the sake of it. There is a reason why we did this. So what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to look over what you wrote. Remember, this is a place that is judgment free. So we're not judging it. We're just noticing. As you reflect on what you've written, you will agree with me that some of what you've written down is urgent. Some of what you've written down is important. Just reflect on everything you've written down. Some of the things that you've written have probably been sitting in your mind for weeks. And some, if we're honest, are really just taking up space. Space that you could use for something much more important. One of the challenges with mental load is that our mind treats everything as equally important. The email feels just as urgent as the health concern. The difficult conversation competes with remembering to buy groceries. The meeting tomorrow sits next to something someone said 3 weeks ago. Everything wants your attention, but not everything deserves the same amount of energy. So, I'd like to introduce a simple way of looking at what you've written down. And I am pretty certain that this is not anything that is new. This is something that you are well familiar with, but it's something we often overlook. The first question is, can I control it? These are the things that you can do something about. Maybe not immediately, but you can take action. You can make the phone call. You can schedule the appointment. You can write the proposal. You can start the conversation. You can make the decision. This is what goes in the first column. So I'd like you to go back to your list, and I'd like you on your piece of paper to create 3 columns. And in the first column, at the top right, can I control it? And write down all the things that you feel you can place in this first column. If you can act on it, place it in this column. So take a moment. I'm going to give you a minute. I'll be quiet to allow you to concentrate. If you can act on it, place it in this first column. Can I control it? All right, so Wycliffe says it's so difficult to do that. There is so much and cannot fit it in 3 minutes. It's hard to break it down and the buckets are large. 100%. And this is what we have been doing to our mind, treating it as a storage container. But what happens is the mind becomes overloaded and it slows down and it impacts our efficiency. We may not be able to get to everything today, Wycliffe and everyone else, but we can get started. So just start with the ones that are easily categorizable. And the idea is this is something we're going to continue doing throughout the course of this month of July. So let's start somewhere. As they say, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. And so I completely resonate with that feeling that there is so much and it's hard to, know how to categorize it. But let's get started. So I'm going to give you a little bit longer as you continue reflecting on what goes in that first bucket. All right. So now that we've looked at that first bucket, let's go to the next one. Let's go to the next one. So, can I influence it? These are the things that matter to you, but you don't have full control over the outcome. Perhaps it's your team's performance. Maybe it's a family situation, a client decision, someone else's behavior. You have influence, but you don't have control. Recognizing the difference is terribly freeing. It's incredibly freeing. So take a minute to look at what you've put on your list that falls into this bucket. Can I influence it? I'm going to give you a minute to reflect. And again, as I said before, if you have so much and it's hard to categorize everything, that's okay. Just move into this bucket what you are able to move. All right. So let's go to the last bucket. Is it noise? Now, notice I didn't ask whether it's real or whether it's important. I just asked whether it's stealing your attention without deserving your energy today. Perhaps it's something that hasn't happened yet. Maybe it's a conversation you've rehearsed 50 times. Perhaps it's a headline or someone else's opinion, a what if, or a story your mind keeps replaying. Some things don't need solving, they just need releasing. So I'd like you to spend the next few minutes on this last bucket. What needs releasing because it's just noise? I'll give you a minute to do this. And I know this can be a little challenging because there's some noise that we are clinging to. But be honest with yourself. What on your list can be put into the noise bucket? A minute. All right. Have a look at your buckets. Have a look at what you have placed in each of the 3 buckets. What do you notice? Don't worry about sharing it in detail, just notice it for yourself. Was there one column that filled up much faster than others? Did anything surprise you about perhaps where it fell into the columns or into the buckets? Did you have an aha moment? Perhaps you discovered you've been giving enormous energy to something that's actually outside of your control, or even better yet, something that should be relegated to the noise column or bucket. Or perhaps you've been carrying something for weeks that could be moved forward with one simple action. Here's the thing: awareness doesn't solve everything, but awareness changes how we carry things. I call myself a self awareness advocate because I really believe that awareness is freeing. And this is where every reset begins, with awareness. As you empty your mind, as you begin to sort through what you are carrying. But there's one final question, one final step that we must take before I tell you a little bit about the mental health reset workbook and what or how it can be of benefit to you. So here's our last step. Let me share my screen again. And as always, it's as before, it's disappeared. Honestly, I really do feel that technology, like I said, it can really be your best friend or it can be your worst enemy. I think one of the challenges is because I keep switching between sharing my screen and not, but it's because there's parts where I want to connect with you as I'm supporting you, and there's parts where I want you to see it on the screen. So I'll keep trying to share my screen, but in the meantime, let's continue with the conversation because the conversation is what's important. If you could intentionally protect just one area of your life over the next 30 days, what would it be? Because here's the thing, awareness, like I said, is critical, but the next step is also extremely important. Being intentional about what happens next. So if you could intentionally protect one area of your life, which would it be? Let me unpack this a little further. We've spent the last few minutes looking at everything you've been carrying. And perhaps, at least I hope, one of your biggest discoveries is this: you cannot give equal attention to everything. None of us can. Every time we say yes to something else, the question is, we're automatically saying no to something else. Every time we say yes to something, we are automatically saying no to something else. So the question is whether we're making that choice intentionally. So I'd like you to leave your list exactly as it is for a moment. Leave it the way you've categorized it. Don't add anything, don't remove anything. Instead, ask yourself this question: if I could intentionally protect just one area of my life over the next 30 days, what would it be? Notice I didn't ask, what do I need to achieve? Or what goal do I want to accomplish? I asked, what deserves my protection? Because growth isn't only about adding more. Sometimes it's about protecting what already matters. Perhaps it's your sleep. Perhaps it is your health. Maybe it's uninterrupted family time. Perhaps it's your peace of mind. Maybe it's a relationship, or it could be your faith. Maybe it's your recovery or your ability to be fully present. Whatever comes to mind first, trust it. Whatever comes to mind, trust it. If I could intentionally protect just one area of my life over the next 30 days, what would it be? All right, let's see if I can share my screen one more time. If I can't, we'll work without it. Yay, here we go. It's back. Oh my goodness. It is back. It is back. It is back. So here we go. I want you to complete these 3 statements. All right. I want you to complete these 3 statements as we wind down our conversation today. I will protect, write down one thing, not 3, just one. Secondly, I need to say no to one thing. All right. Every meaningful yes requires a meaningful no. What's the habit, the commitment, the distraction, or the expectation that keeps pulling you away from what you should be focused on, the one thing you've chosen, the one thing that you are protecting? So in order to protect that one thing, what do you need to say no to? And finally, my first step will be not next month, not when life gets quieter, but a small action that you could take within the next 24 hours. Perhaps it's putting time in your calendar. Maybe it's having a conversation. Perhaps it's canceling something or booking something. Perhaps it's turning off notifications or going to bed 30 minutes earlier, sending one email. Whatever it is, make it small enough that you know you'll be able to do it. So I'm going to give you 2 minutes, maybe 3, for those 3 statements. Look at your commitment. Take a look at the 3 statements you've written. I want you to notice how you are feeling as you reflect on these 3 statements. And go to the comments. I want to hear from you. How do you feel as you reflect on these? I will protect. I need to say no to. My first step will be. As you reflect on these, how are you feeling? Go to the comments. Whether you're on YouTube or LinkedIn, I'd love to hear from you. How do you feel as you reflect on these 3 statements? I would love to hear from you. I'm going to give you 30 more seconds. I'm imagining that you're very reflective in this moment. And so you are thinking about, thank you, Wycliffe, for being the first on the board, feeling liberated, but anxious to implement. All right. I hope that you've made these simple steps that you can implement within the next 24 hours. Anyone else? How are you feeling as you look at these 3 things that you have committed to? Feeling calm, just calmness, Charles says. I love it. Thank you very much. Let me hear from you. Nikiwe says, I feel relieved. Hey, Nikki. Great to have you online. Thank you for joining. I love it. Feeling relieved. Anyone else? How are you feeling? Come on, guys. I want to hear from you. How are you feeling? Talk to me. 30 more seconds. Waiting to hear from somebody else. How are you feeling as you reflect on these three statements? Who else said hi earlier? June, are you still with us? Susan, are you still here? Palessa, are you still online? Maureen, are you still online? Tessie, I'd love to hear from you. Wildest Dreams, Asanga, I know you were here earlier. I'd love to hear from you. How are you feeling as you think about these three? Palessa has responded to my call. I feel better days are just around the corner as I commit myself. Fantastic. Please keep it coming. I would love to see your reflection. Susan says it is achievable. So, as you notice these three statements, notice how different they feel from a long to do list. This isn't another list of things to accomplish, it's a decision about how you want to live. Because protecting your mental well being isn't another task to squeeze into your day, it is the foundation that allows you to fully show up for everything else. Our conversation today wasn't about finding all the answers. It was about creating the space to ask better questions, a continuation from the conversation we had a couple of weeks ago. And that's exactly why we're excited about this mental health reset workbooks. It doesn't promise a quick fix. It provides a practical rhythm for building mental fitness 1 month, one reflection, and one intentional step at a time. As we come towards the end of our conversation, as we talk about the workbook, and as I share a little bit more about it, I really want to invite you to check out the Mental Health Reset Workbook. It is available. Currently, we are delivering to Nairobi and South Africa. For those of you who are here, who are logged in from different locations, we're still working on getting the workbook to you. But if you go to the mental health, if you go to the link, you will find, oops, I think I've shared the wrong link with you here. This is our call for wellness champions. I know the team will share the link to the order. So team, if someone can please share the correct link. I think the one I've shared here is actually taking you to the mental health champions landing page, but someone will share it. We are delighted to share this workbook with you, and we really would love for you to get your copy of this workbook. And it's really designed on the premise that small shifts make a very big change. Small shifts make a very big change. We believe that when we make small changes, we are able to really support our mental well-being. Over the last few years, we've had the mental health challenge, and every month we've shared on email a challenge for the month. This time around, we decided to put it all together, and we are excited to launch today the Mental Health Reset. It is a simple guide to protecting your mind, energy, and emotional well being. It is a simple 12-month journey. And what we've done today is we've started on the challenge for month number 1. And every month you get practical tools that work, easy to apply strategies for real life. And the workbook provides a space for journaling so that you can reflect on your growth. And ultimately, as you make those small shifts every day, we believe there will be lasting impact all throughout. And so we want to invite you to order. Yes, sorry, when I said Nairobi, I should have said Kenya. So we're delivering to across Kenya, anywhere across Kenya, and we will just get in touch with you, have a conversation about where to deliver. Where to deliver, and we will talk to you about the delivery cost. and then you will meet the delivery cost. So anywhere in Nairobi, anywhere in South Africa right now, you will be able to get the Reset workbook. And we're really excited about sharing this with you. And the workbook is full of work like what we've just done today. And so please do go to the landing page for the workbook. We have a special pre-order price that we had up until today. So the pre-order price ends today. So if you place your order today, make your payment via M-Pesa for those who are in Kenya, and by bank transfer for those who are in South Africa. We will then make sure that we get in touch with you and deliver the workbook to you. For those who had already made the order, the delivery will be with you this week. As of tomorrow, the workbook goes up to its normal price. So currently we are selling the workbook for $1,950. That is the pre-launch price. And that still remains until the end of today. After today, then it goes up to the regular price that we are selling the workbook for. If you have any questions about placing the order, reach out to us. You can send us an email at info@pts.co.ke if you have any questions and you want to ask about how you can get your copy. Please do reach out to us. So, as we wind up our conversation, I want you to look back at what you have written. A few moments ago, your thoughts were scattered. Now they are organized. You've identified what you can control, you recognize what you can influence, and you notice what is simply noise. And perhaps most importantly, you have made one intentional decision about what you're going to protect over the next 30 days. Now, let me ask you a question. Do you think this hour has solved every challenge in your life? Of course not. And it was never meant to, because meaningful change rarely comes through one extraordinary moment. It comes through ordinary moments repeated consistently. One boundary, one pause, one decision, one habit, then another and another. That is how resilience is built. That is how clarity grows. That is how mental well-being becomes something we practice rather than something we hope for. Today's session wasn't about changing your life in 60 minutes. It was about proving something, that when you create a little space, even just a little space, you think differently, you breathe differently, you choose differently. And when you choose differently, your life begins to move in a different direction. And that is exactly why the Mental Health Reset Workbook exists. Not to give you 12 months of reading, but to give you 12 months of practicing. And it's our hope that you will take up this challenge so that you can do this or practice taking these steps on a day-to-day basis. And we want to be there alongside you along the journey over the next 12 months. What we've experienced together today isn't a standalone exercise. It is the beginning of a journey. When I started writing the Mental Health Reset Workbook, I kept asking myself one question: how do we make mental well-being practical? Not another book that inspires us for a weekend, not another resource that sits on a shelf, but something people could return to month after month. Something that creates moments of reflection, small moments of awareness, and small actions that could gradually change the way we think, respond, and live. And that's exactly what this workbook is. It's not designed to be read in one sitting, it's designed to be lived. Each month introduces a simple challenge, not to overwhelm you, but to help you build one habit at a time. Some months will help you create clarity. Others will help you strengthen boundaries. Some will reconnect you with your values. Others will restore your energy or strengthen your relationships or help you to manage pressure more intentionally. Each challenge builds on the one before it because sustainable well being isn't created by one big breakthrough, it is built through consistent practice. Today, you've already completed the first step. You've paused, you've reflected, you've sorted your mental load, you've chosen one thing that matters most. Imagine if what could happen if you gave yourself this very same gift once a month for the next 12 months. Doesn't mean life will become easier, but it will become better because you've become more intentional in how you navigate it. So, before we close, I'd like us to make one final commitment. Not to me, not to the workbook, but to ourselves. Make that commitment to what you have committed to. That indeed, what you have written down as the one thing you are going to protect, that you are committed to doing so. And I want to ask that you find a accountability partner that's going to support you on taking this step so that indeed your mental health reset starts today. So, as I close, thank you for giving yourself this hour. Thank you for choosing to pause. Thank you for choosing to reflect. And thank you for allowing us to be part of your mental health reset journey. I genuinely hope that when you think back today, you won't remember it as the day you attended a webinar. You remember it as the day you created a little more space for yourself, because that is where a new chapter begins. Thank you for celebrating the launch of the Mental Health Reset Workbook with us. And I hope that you will make sure that you get your copy so that you can continue on the journey with us. Don't forget, if you have any questions, you can go to email and send us an email. And then the team tells me that apparently the link I shared is the correct link. So just open it up. It will take you to the workbook, the Mental Health Reset, a simple guide to protecting your mind, energy, and emotional well-being. Remember, mental health doesn't have to feel overwhelming, complicated, or out of reach. Sometimes the most powerful change begins with one small intentional shift. Thank you for sharing your morning, afternoon with me. It has truly been a pleasure to interact with you. Take a moment to share an outro in the comments if you'd like to give one last comment or parting shot as we go. I see some already are. Dolphin, great to have you here. Stuart, thank you for joining, and thank you to Charles. If you want to just add your outro as I close, happy to have you, and stay connected with us as we continue to share more about the workbook. Remember, today is just the pre-launch price. If you order it after today, it goes up to $21.50. Stay blessed. Thank you very much for your time today. It has been a pleasure to host you.